Frank Adrian only had 3 months until he was a free man. But when they took his daughter, he couldn't wait another day.
In the initial scene, we meet a prisoner named Adrian Frank, who has been sentenced for robbery involving a sum of 2 million euros. Adrian shares his cell with Jean-Louis Morel, a man convicted of sexually assaulting a minor. One night, 3 male inmates approached the cell occupied by Adrian and Louis. These men had come specifically to torment Louis, aware of his status as a sexual offender. Upon entering, they promptly requested Adrian to step outside, intending to harass Louis without interference. Adrian complied and positioned himself at the door. It appeared that the 3 men had bribed the warden to gain access to Louis' cell. Unable to bear the sounds of Louis' suffering, Adrian resolved to intervene and confront the 3 men. This led to a violent altercation between Adrian and the trio of inmates. Adrian nearly succumbed to strangulation at their hands, but fortunately the guards intervened in time to break up the fight. The following day, both Adrian and Louis received visits from their wives. During the visit, Adrian's wife, Anna, inquired about the location of the hidden stolen money. However, Adrian refrained from disclosing this information as he still harbored doubts about his wife's trustworthiness. Anna also brought their daughter to the prison, as she longed to see her father. Initially, Adrian felt frustrated with Anna for allowing their daughter to witness him in prison, but he soon succumbed to his emotions and embraced his child. Meanwhile, Louis's wife reassured him that their lawyer was diligently working to secure his release. Soon, Louis will regain his freedom as the family of the victim who previously filed a lawsuit against him has withdrawn all their claims. During a monthly entertainment event for inmates, Adrian was unexpectedly assaulted by another inmate wielding a screwdriver. The assailant threatened Adrian, demanding to know the whereabouts of the stolen money he had hidden. It is understood that this man is nearing his release from prison and is eager to retrieve the stolen funds from Adrian. When Adrian refused to disclose the location, the man violently pierced Adrian's ear with the screwdriver, causing him to lose consciousness. Adrian received medical attention at the prison health clinic and remained unconscious for 3 days. Upon regaining consciousness, Adrian found Louis sitting beside him. Louis informed Adrian that he had been released that day as all charges against him had been dismissed. In gratitude for Adrian's assistance during a previous inmate attack, Louis provided Adrian with his phone number and offered his help if needed. Before departing the room, Adrian requested Louis' assistance in arranging a meeting with his wife, revealing that the stolen money was concealed in his late father's grave. Before leaving the prison, Louis made a stop in the bathroom to collect the remaining hair from Adrian's comb. It appears that Louis intentionally preserved the hair for future criminal activities. A few days later, a former police commander named Manuel visited Adrian. Manuel explained that he sought Adrian's insight regarding Louis, knowing they had shared a cell, and was interested in gathering information about him. Adrian stated that he was not particularly close to Louis but perceived him as an ordinary and innocent individual. Manuel refuted this characterization, asserting that Louis is, in fact, a manipulative and malevolent rapist and serial killer who can convincingly present himself as innocent to his victims. Manuel is aware of this because he once attempted to rescue a victim from a fire intentionally set by Louis, although ultimately the victim did not survive. Manuel made efforts to apprehend Louis. However, he has yet to gather any substantial evidence or witnesses to support his case. Louis's wife consistently goes to great lengths to assist him in locating his victims and facilitating their release from incarceration. Upon hearing this, Adrian was taken aback, as she had entrusted her wife and daughter to Louis's care. Meanwhile, a police officer named Claire is leading an operation with her team aimed at capturing a drug dealer. To confirm her target, Claire disguised herself as a prostitute, and once she identified the man as her objective, she promptly instructed her team to set up an ambush. During the arrest, a shootout erupted between the drug dealers and the police. However, Claire, who was already on high alert in the bathroom, easily subdued the drug dealer. At the same time, Adrian felt a mix of confusion and concern, preoccupied with thoughts about the safety of his beloved wife and daughter. While performing his regular duties, Adrian was confronted by a prison warden and 3 inmates who threatened him, seeking the money he had stolen. Adrian found himself in a confrontation with the 3 inmates and the warden. Fortunately, he managed to overpower them all and seize the chance to escape from prison while disguised as a warden. Meanwhile, Louis and his wife were shopping at a supermarket, searching for a girl to target next. As they shopped, they came across news reports about Adrian's prison escape. Louis's wife expressed her anxiety, fearing that Adrian might discover their activities, but Louis remained confident that Adrian would not pose a threat to them. Unbeknownst to them, Louis and his wife had kidnapped Adrian's daughter and taken her with them. Subsequently, a police commander named Luciana instructed Claire and her team to locate and apprehend Adrian. Initially, Claire declined to take on Adrian's case, as her team was focused on a drug ring arrest. However, under pressure from her commander, she had no option but to accept the assignment. Meanwhile, Adrian returned to his apartment, expecting to find his wife and child there. To his dismay, the apartment was vacant. Assuming that Anna had taken their child elsewhere, he left her a note indicating that he would be searching for them shortly. Unfortunately, Claire and her team had already cordoned off the area. At first, they were unable to locate Adrian, but when Claire discovered a freshly written letter on the table, she promptly initiated another search of the premises. Upon finding Adrian, Claire drew her weapon and called for assistance from a colleague still inside the building. However, Adrian managed to evade capture by leaping out of the window and escaping onto a fast-moving train. Later that evening, Adrian visited his father's grave to check if the money he had hidden was still there. To his horror, the money was gone, and instead, he discovered Anna's lifeless body in the grave. This revelation indicated that Louis had not only stolen the money but had also murdered his wife. Overwhelmed with grief for both Anna and their daughter, Adrian quickly reached out to Louis to inquire about his child's whereabouts. Louis informed him that, for the time being, Adrian's daughter was safe with him, but warned that any attempts to locate him could endanger the child. After abruptly ending the call, Louis began fabricating evidence by planting Adrian's DNA and the clothing of the victim he had previously killed. In a calculated move, Louis aimed to frame Adrian, leading the police to believe that he was responsible for the murder of the girl. He strategically placed the body in the location where Adrian had sought refuge after the robbery. The following day, law enforcement conducted an investigation at the site where Adrian had been hiding and discovered the remains of 2 teenage girls who had been burned there. One of the victims was the daughter of a former police officer named Thomas. Witnessing this tragic scene left Thomas feeling both furious and heartbroken. Consequently, the police began to suspect Adrian as the individual responsible for the murders of the 2 girls. However, Claire remained unconvinced that Adrian could commit such a horrific act, given that his only prior offense was a robbery. Meanwhile, Adrian visited Manuel's residence in search of more information about Louis to locate him. Despite being retired, Manuel had been secretly pursuing private investigations to apprehend Louis, yet he had never obtained substantial evidence. Previously, Manuel had encountered 2 bodies he believed to be victims of Louis' crimes, but DNA analysis revealed that the samples did not match Louis'. Subsequently, Adrian provided Manuel with a phone number he had previously used to contact someone. Manuel promptly traced the signal from that number by discreetly entering the nearest police station and utilizing their tracking system. While at the police station, Adrian, who remained at Manuel's house, suddenly heard police sirens and realized that his location had been compromised. He quickly fled the area. On one occasion, Adrian took Claire hostage and demanded that 2 police officers lower their weapons. He then informed Claire that he had been set up and that the true culprit was Louis. After sharing this information, Adrian made a hasty escape. Fortunately, Manuel arrived just in time to rescue Adrian using his vehicle. During the ensuing gunfire from the police, Manuel sustained a gunshot wound and chose to sacrifice himself to ensure Adrian's escape. Before proceeding, he handed Adrian the document that indicated Louis' residence. Having successfully evaded the police once more, Adrian promptly set off for the location in a stolen vehicle. The following morning, Adrian kept watch over a pharmacy in the vicinity, recalling that Louis had a strong dependence on a specific medication and would experience significant anxiety if he missed a dose. Meanwhile, Claire began her own investigation into all records related to Louis, convinced that Adrian was not a serial killer. She recalled a previous encounter where Adrian had the chance to harm her with a firearm, yet he had shown no desire to do so. At the same time, Louis and his wife were at a market with Adrian's daughter. While browsing, Louis spotted an attractive young woman who caught his interest and would become his next target. On their way home, Louis and his wife feigned a request for directions to a hospital. The young woman informed them of a nearby clinic. Louis's wife attempted to persuade her to accompany them to guide them to the clinic. Although initially reluctant, the young woman eventually entered the car, believing they posed no threat due to the presence of a small child. As they passed the intended location, the young woman began to realize she was being abducted and fought back. She managed to escape into a forest and quickly sought help. Regrettably, Louis tracked her down and killed her immediately. The next day, Adrian noticed Louis exiting the pharmacy he was monitoring and decided to follow him discreetly. After driving for some time through a tranquil, hilly region, Adrian finally located Louis's home, a villa situated atop a hill. In the afternoon, Adrian stealthily entered the villa and successfully located his daughter. Simultaneously, Claire arrived at the villa, driven by her growing suspicion of Louis as a serial killer, following her analysis of his criminal records. Adrian felt immense relief and joy upon discovering that his daughter was safe and unharmed. However, just as Adrian and his daughter were preparing to escape, Louis and his wife unexpectedly appeared, armed with rifles. Fortunately, Claire arrived just in time and aimed her gun at Louis. Despite her intervention, Louis managed to shoot Claire, injuring her before he pursued Adrian and his daughter. Seizing the moment, Adrian fled with his daughter, running up the hill to conceal her from Louis. Meanwhile, Claire, still alive, fought back against Louis's wife and hurried to catch up with Adrian. In the meantime, Louis located Adrian and shot at him with a rifle in front of his daughter. Fortunately, Adrian survived by gripping a tree branch at the edge of a cliff. Realizing Adrian was still alive, Louis aimed to finish him off, but his attempt was thwarted when Claire killed him. Claire and Luciana worked together to rescue Adrian. Suddenly, Thomas, the father of one of Louis's murder victims, appeared and shot Adrian, mistakenly believing that Adrian was responsible for his daughter's rape and murder. The following day, a search was conducted in the river area for the bodies of Adrian and Louis, but only Louis's body was recovered. 3 months later, Claire visited Adrian's daughter at the orphanage. The film concludes with a scene in which Adrian's daughter receives a letter featuring a sketch of a family father, mother, and daughter sent by Adrian.